Hello and good evening, everyone. My name is Minelis Negron. Thank you so much for joining us tonight in this community conversation about regulated quality childcare opportunities for your children in Montgomery County. Jennifer Arnaiz, who oversees childcare support services within Montgomery, Montgomery County Department of Health and Human Services, Early Childhood Services, joins me tonight to provide information and answer your questions about this very important topic for our community. The purpose of this conversation is to provide and empower your families with various resources available regarding quality child care. That includes information about financial assistance opportunities that can help you to make that very important investment in the development and education of your little ones. Good night, Jennifer.
Good evening. Thank you for doing this evening. Thank you for joining us.
Before we start our conversation tonight, I want to remind you that during this transmission, you can ask questions through the comment section in this Facebook page. During our conversation, we are going to provide you with some links and information where you can stay in touch with the team or request more details on the topics we will discuss tonight. So I recommend that you have pen and paper handy. Also, let your neighbors, relatives, and other community members know that we are part of this virtual conversation tonight so they can also connect and benefit from this important conversation and information. As we get ready with the topic, I'd like to present you a brief greeting and message from County Executive Mar Elric and Council Member Nancy Navarro.
I'm pleased to welcome you tonight to this virtual conversation on childcare opportunities in our community. Providing families with affordable and accessible high-quality childcare has been a priority of my administration. As part of the Early Care and Education Initiative, we've made significant investments in increasing the availability of childcare by supporting the establishment of over 90 new family childcare homes and increasing the full-day pre-K options in partnership with MCPS. During the pandemic, we created the Early Care and Education Recovery Fund to help sustain these programs. Giving families quality services where their children can learn, grow, and thrive is a personal priority for me and important to the vitality of this county. As a former educator, I know firsthand that the early years have a tremendous impact on our children's development and readiness for school. This program will help show families how to connect with resources in the county and will help parents maximize their children's development and potential. I encourage you to ask all your questions tonight, not just where to find the best child care for your children, but also let us know how the county can continue to be of support. Remember that this is a lifetime investment for those whom you love the most and represents the future of the county. Thank you.
Greetings, friends and families from Montgomery County. It is an honor to welcome you to this virtual conversation about child care opportunities in our county. I have spent decades working to promote the expansion of quality, affordable, and accessible child care in our county. I have been immersed in this topic as a parent, a practitioner, an advocate, and now as a legislator. Our future economic stability depends on the availability of child care. It helps our families work with peace of mind, and it prepares our children to enter school ready to learn. The first 5 years of life are pivotal for the future academic and social development of our children. This means that workforce development actually starts in the early years. That's why I have always believed that early care and education is a socioeconomic imperative for our county, our state, and our nation. I'm proud of the county's Early Care and Education Initiative, which I authored in consultation with stakeholders. And with the support of the county executive and my council colleagues, we have invested over $25 million. As we begun to address the impact of COVID-19 early last year, we made sure to provide financial assistance to our child care community. We appropriated over $10 million in relief for our child care providers because we know that the post-COVID-19 recovery is predicated on the availability of child care. We will continue to make this a high priority, and we always welcome your feedback. Again, thank you for participating in tonight's event.
Thank you so much for those greetings to County Executive and Council Member Navarro. Jennifer, let's go to the nitty gritty of this conversation tonight. But let's begin by addressing a very important questions for parents. Why is it important for children to have the opportunity to receive childcare?
So we know the first 5 years of a children's life are the most active in growing and learning. So we want to ensure that children have quality experiences in safe and nurturing environments. These first 5 years, the baby's brain is growing so quickly. So we're looking at really rich language environments. We're looking at environments that will stimulate their learning and activities for them to use their gross motor and fine motor skills so they can be active.
And I find it particularly interesting that you emphasize on quality, regulated, or licensed childcare. What does that mean? And is there a difference with other types of childcare services that are provided in the community?
Sure. So regulated childcare, licensed childcare means it's a program that has gone through specific steps to obtain a registration or a license through the state of Maryland. The first and foremost reason really is we want to ensure safety. So childcare programs that are licensed have gone through rigorous checks, such as staff having medical backgrounds, criminal background checks. There have been inspections of the home or the center where the program is going to be held to ensure safety and that the environment is appropriate for children's learning. So these checks and balances ensure that our children are safe. So that's the very first and most important reason. The second reason is that quality, licensed, regulated childcare also ensures that the caregiver or the teachers have completed specific types of training so that they know how children develop and they understand what children need and how to support them in their development and learning.
Now, how can parents know if a childcare service is regulated or not? And why is this detail so important?
So based on licensing regulations, every child care program must have their license posted on their front entrance. So parents can easily see the license. They'll see the number of children that are approved to be in that program. They'll see when the license will expire. They'll see what age groups they're approved to care for. So it's very important that parents look for that. Another way to check also is to look online. There is a site that the state of Maryland has that shows all the programs that are licensed or regulated in Maryland. And you can filter it by your county, you can filter it by a zip code or a city. And so it's very easy to get to www.checkccmd.org. And their parents can just filter in and put in a name and see if the program is licensed.
Let's talk a little bit more about services. Licensed childcare programs provide important benefits for children and their holistic development. That is, in all the phases or facets of the development of a child. Why is that particularly a particular factor so important? And why is it important to choose licensed childcare?
So, as I said earlier, childcare providers and teachers have completed specific types of training and professional development. So, they have really looked at the child development, the learning strategies. They've also looked at, how to best support a child through their different ages and stages. So, understanding how a child develops is crucial to be able to support those children. So, again, that's I think, the very crux of childcare is understanding how a child develops and being able to create an environment and activities and support their learning.
Very well. And are licensed childcare services available for any child in the community, Jennifer?
Absolutely, absolutely. So we have roughly around 1,200 childcare programs in Montgomery County that are operating throughout different areas, from Silver Spring to up to Boyd's. And so across the county, parents can find childcare that meets their needs as well as the child's needs. So you can definitely find different openings depending on what you want. We have center-based programs. We have programs that are based in homes as well, family childcare. So there's a variety of options for parents to find childcare.
If my child has special needs, Jennifer, that's a question that a lot of parents might be asking themselves right now. If my child has special needs, are there childcare options? Are there any childcare options available for us?
Yes, there are. So childcare programs under the federal law, the American with Disabilities Act, are required to accommodate all children. And something that's unique in Maryland is that all providers must complete a course in ADA, American with Disabilities Act, to ensure that they understand how to make the appropriate accommodations. So parents who have children with special needs can look for programs and they can inquire with the programs if there's been additional training that the programs perhaps have had in serving children with unique special needs and different abilities. We do have many programs that specifically care for children with various abilities here in Montgomery County. But again, any program really should be able to accept children. Now, depending on the child's needs, there may be some additional accommodations that are needed, and that would be a conversation between the parent and the caregiver, or the director, or the teacher, to be able to best make the environment work for that child.
What do parents need to know about childcare providers' readiness to provide services and care for children, Jennifer?
So really, I think that, again, it's the training background that the teachers have had in how to best support children's development, the environment that they've created, the curriculum that they're using. Within the first 5 years, children, they will learn when they get to kindergarten, they will learn their ABCs, they'll learn their shapes and counting. But the real learning happens with the social emotional development. And caregivers really they create an environment where children can learn to share, can use their voice, learn independence. And these skills, these life skills, help them in their learning when they get to school. So again, parents really need to inquire about the professional development that teachers have and how they can better support the children in the classroom. Right now, licensing does require that every caregiver complete a minimum of 12 hours per year. Many programs participate in something called Maryland Excels, which is a quality rating improvement system that really shows that the program has gone above and beyond licensing requirements. And within that, there's higher standards and capacities for providers with additional learning. There's a stronger set of standards that the program must follow to show the quality of programs that they meet. So that would be another piece that a parent can inquire if the program is participating in Maryland Excels.
Before we move on with other questions that we have here, we want to encourage all of those parents and families that are joining us through this Facebook Live to ask your questions through the Facebook chat option so that we can incorporate them throughout this conversation. So feel free to ask your questions, whatever they are. We'll be here ready for them and help you and guide you through this conversation. Now, Jennifer, I do have a question regarding a very important topic. A lot of parents who are joining us tonight might have these questions, and it has to do with the immigration status. Is the immigration status of the parents taken into consideration when applying for these services?
For childcare, no. That's not asked. In terms of accessing different resources, it's really looking at the child status. So parent status is not inquired about.
And also, I wanted to know because sometimes one of the challenges that parents may have is not knowing where to find the correct and trustworthy information on where to find childcare services. Is there a one stop listing where families can find more information about quality regulated childcare centers closest to them?
Yes, we are very fortunate in Maryland to have the only recognized database that lists all childcare programs. It's called Locate Childcare, and it is run by Maryland Family Network. You'll see on the screen marylandfamilynetwork.org, and the number is 877-261-0060. Again, it's the only approved state database that directly links with the Maryland State Department of Education that oversees the licensing of all child care programs. The Locate actually has multilingual counselors that you can speak with if you call, or you can do your own search by going on to the website marylandfamilynetwork.org. and look at different criteria and find a program that meets not only your family's need, but your child's needs, such as size, what they offer for extracurricular activities, the hours, etc. In addition, Locate Childcare also offers enhanced services for children with special needs or military families. There are counselors, I said, it's multilingual counselors that will be able to serve a variety of individuals who call that number.
Yes, please write down that number, 1-877-261-0060. It's Locate Childcare. Pass it along because somebody in your family, one of your neighbors, one of your coworkers might need this information. Also, you have the website www.marylandfamilynetwork.org. Please share and use it because it's available for you. Now let's move on to other questions. And this one might be something of interest to families because of the pandemic. Um, we have been a little bit nervous about the pandemic due to the risks of infections. Many childcare programs had also had to close or reduce their capacity to avoid the risks. However, state and federal health and education authorities have put in place rigorous protocols to protect the health and staff of the children and staff, I should say. Just so tell us a little bit more about these protocols, Jennifer.
Sure. So first, let's go back in time, pre-pandemic. Before the pandemic started, the childcare programs that are licensed have to follow and adhere to very strict standards when it comes to health and safety. This includes washing hands, disinfecting and sanitizing hard surfaces and toys that children are playing with, ensuring that there are health practices put into place, that teachers have had medical background checks before being in the classroom. So that was the world before the pandemic. When the pandemic hit, what came into place were some additional factors to what we already were doing, such as cohorting children, putting them into smaller groups, reducing the size and capacity of classrooms. We also, it was also encouraged that the guests were no longer allowed in the program, only those who had to be there. So many parents were dropping off their children at the door. Pre-screening before entering the environment was also another strategy that was used. And social distancing, of course, physical distancing. So those different precautions were implemented during the pandemic. When the pandemic first hit, programs were closed and only emergency childcare was available. By the summer of last year, they reopened at reduced capacity. And then in the spring of this year, we reopened to regular sized capacities, normal size capacities. However, what we do know is that the programs were also maintaining all the strict standards that were done during the pandemic. So when you go to a child care program today, it may be a little more challenging to do a tour in the program because there is limited guests allowed in there. It's those who should be there. So we don't really spread any of the virus and infect any of the children. Because as we know, children cannot have a vaccine. So we want to keep them as safe as possible. And these practices, I said, continue right now. There is mandatory mask wearing here in Montgomery County for all indoor activities for anyone 2 years and older. So that includes childcare. Childcare programs are requiring masks, are mandated to wear masks inside the classroom, children and adults. And then in addition to that, if there was ever a case of a positive COVID result, there's protocols that are followed. There is a close connection. The state does have guidelines as to how children should be quarantined and removed from the classroom, and about adults also being tested and so forth. So making sure that the environment is always as clean as possible and safe as possible.
Now, the question would be, Jennifer, sometimes parents are a little nervous about this information, but do they really are allowed to ask questions about the protocols on COVID-19 when they're looking for a child care facility or services? And how about safety regulations within the facilities?
Absolutely. It's a parent's right to ask questions. And in fact, we encourage when you talk to Locate counselors, they will give you some guidance and strategies of questions to ask when you are looking at and selecting childcare. Selecting childcare is a very personal choice. So it's not only the location, the hours, but it's also, will it be a good fit for your child? So you want to ask questions. And right now, the pandemic is the number one question that many parents are asking. You want to know about the group size. What is, and when you, if you're able to visit, and some of these tours are done virtually, definitely counting how many children in the environment. Are they the same children? So one thing is to have a small group. The other thing is, are they the same group of children who are always together during the week to reduce any spread of the virus? You want to ask about their routine for cleaning and sanitizing and disinfecting. You want to look at the nap area. Is it clean and is it safe? Where are the children sleeping? How are the mats or the cots disinfected? You can ask about meals as well. Not only how are they prepared, but also encourage you to ask about the menu. Does the program follow a USDA food guideline to ensure that the food that is being served is healthy and helping and supporting the child's growth? All teachers are trained in CPR and first aid, and there's also staff at every program that has completed a course of medication administration to ensure that medication is administered properly to children. These are required through licensing. Again, we're very fortunate in Maryland to have such high standards for childcare.
But there are other questions that parents can also ask whenever they're looking for childcare um, services through Montgomery County, such as activities, other events that happen during the hours that those kids are under the care of these providers. What other considerations should parents know?
So I separate into three different buckets. I think the first thing is calling. Whenever you have a list of childcare programs, right, you want to call them and you want to ask questions that are important to help you make the right decision. You want to ask questions about what activities are offered. What does a day look like for my child? You want to ask if the program is participating in any quality rating improvement systems such as Maryland Excels. Is the program accredited, which means they've gone above and beyond licensing? Are the teachers being supported in their professional development? Uh, Way back when, I used to be a director of a child care center, and I ensured that my staff had about 18 hours of training every year, and we scheduled the classes so our staff were learning and growing within the field. So ask the questions that are important to you. Are meals served? Are you know how many children are in the classroom? These are things that help you make the decision. The second piece is visiting and looking. So, as I said, right now, because of the pandemic, some tours may be done virtually. But when you're looking and watching and observing a classroom where your child will be, look for things such as how responsive are the teachers? Is it a nurturing environment? Are the teachers talking with the children at their eye level? Are they asking open-ended questions? Do the children seem happy? That's a really important thing to look at. Are they happy? Are they involved in all different variety of activities? Are there enough toys for the children to play with? Are some kids getting the individual attention they need if they're asking for it? Are they given space when they want some independence? That balance is what you want to look for. And then the third, I think, is I would ask questions that are very personal to you and to help you finalize the decision making process. Ask about the discipline policy. How are children disciplined? What's the sick policy? If a child is sick, what happens if they're sick in the classroom? How is that handled? How are emergencies handled? If we do live in the metropolitan area, so looking at not only natural disasters but man-made disasters. Where are the evacuation sites? Where's the first aid kit? What if you have to shelter in place? These are questions you want to ask. Um, I'd also find out about substitutes. Are there substitutes? If a teacher is sick, who comes in to substitute? How are those substitutes trained to know the children in the classroom? Again, ongoing professional development. And I think another key question to ask is what activities are there for parents to be involved with? Because your involvement as a parent in a child care program is essential. As they say, it takes a village to bring up children, and it's true. You want to be a part of your child's activities and those first formative years in these learning environments. These will be your children's friends, and lifelong learning happens there. So being a part of that and being as involved as possible helps your child to succeed.
Thank you so much for those recommendations, Jennifer. I'm sure that a lot of parents who are joining us tonight are taking notes and making sure that they ask these questions and get all the information that they need for the best of their child care and development for their kids. Now, talking about asking questions, Jennifer, there is a very, very important questions that parents might be asking right now or have asked throughout their search for quality childcare services, and that is financial assistance. Is there financial assistance available for families in Montgomery County?
There is, and this really is one of the biggest questions or the most often asked question that we've received is how to pay for childcare. We do recognize childcare, it is a responsibility and it is expensive. So we're fortunate again in Maryland to have a childcare scholarship program which for that is available to families who are income eligible, who are involved in either a work, an activity, or school. And so the depending on the income of the family household, you could qualify for partial or a majority of the child care tuition. In addition, Montgomery County also offers the Working Parents Assistance. That could be used either for those families that do not qualify for the state or in conjunction with those families that qualify with the state. And they can get an extra supplement to the tuition assistance. These programs are income eligible and do require families to be involved in an activity. So again, as a reminder, you need to be working, going to school, be in a trade program. So, and there's a just cause for a need for childcare.
Thank you, Jennifer. And we will continue to learn more about these opportunities. But I want to encourage all of those that are joining us tonight through this Facebook Live to ask your questions. You can do so by dropping your question in the chat box in this Facebook Live. We would like to hear from you and share your questions with Jennifer Adanais. She's the manager for early childhood services in Montgomery County. So please don't go tonight if you're not asking your question and if you still have concerns or doubts about childcare services in Montgomery County. Now, you're talking, Jennifer, about there is financial assistance available for families who qualify. Who are these families who qualify, and how can they apply for these opportunities?
So families that qualify are income eligible. And so there is a scale that is used. And to find out if your family is eligible for the state child care scholarship, you can go to www.moneyforchildcare.com. Very simple, moneyforchildcare.com. To see if you qualify for the Working Parents Assistance, which is a Montgomery County tuition assistance program, you would go to www.montgomerycountymd.gov/WPA for Working Parents Assistance. I'll repeat that, www.montgomerycountymd.gov/WPA. So these programs, both of them, as I said, are income eligible. So depending on the size of your household and the amount of annual income, gross income that you bring in, you can determine, and the scales are on their website so you can see. In terms of how to apply to them, they both are electronic systems. So throughout the pandemic, many services had to convert to an online system. It is easier. It is streamlined. Many people have cell phones and can do this from their cell phones or the device and be able to take a picture of, for example, a paycheck and upload it to the system, fill out the application, and then click and submit. So these tools are very user friendly. They are available in Spanish and counselors. There are phone numbers also associated on those websites, so you can call and inquire. And there are multilingual counselors who can help assist with those both of those programs. In terms of documentation that you would need to show proof of income. You would need to show proof that there's a need for childcare. So some document that you're working. For those who are paid without maybe in cash, something from their employer stating what their hours are. And so these documents will help establish the need for childcare. once you submit your application and you've uploaded your documents, you will then have a short wait period. The state and the county both have systems that, as I said, they're electronic, so they're reviewed by actual humans on the other side. And so you will get within a week or so, you'll get back information whether or not you've qualified, or if any item needs further explanation, or if there is a missing document. At that, once you are approved, then you will then receive an electronic voucher, which will indicate how much your family is eligible for. This amount then is applied towards childcare. You don't, as a family member, you don't actually receive the check or the cash or the money. What happens is when you find your childcare provider, you're going to ask first if they're involved in the Maryland Excels, which is our quality rating improvement system, because only programs that are in Maryland Excels are eligible to receive children with childcare tuition assistance from the state. So once that program says that they are part of Maryland Excels, then you would show them the voucher that you are approved for, and then the provider would communicate back with the state, and there would be communication to be able to have those funds transferred to the child care program. Families are going to be required to do a copay. So the voucher may not cover the entire tuition. There's a copay that will be from the parents' portion. But again, the tuition assistance is really to be able to bring down that cost for families, and that burden of tuition is then eliminated.
Thank you, Jennifer, for that. And, we will go once again over the documents and just a few things about that process. But I wanted to bring the question of one of our viewers who's actually with us. She is asking, I applied for a childcare scholarship and I am currently the only parent working as my husband is in school. I provided my details plus my husband's school admissions and transcript, and I was denied. How can you help me? Because I have provided everything they have requested, but to no avail. Thank you.
So with the state scholarship, I would say the best thing is to find out the reason why you were ineligible, and it could be the salary income was too high. It could be that there was some missing documentation, or some, it could also be user error, a glitch in the system, right? So I would encourage you to contact Maryland State Department of Education. And again, if you go to moneyforchildcare.com, you can find out who to call, but the number is 1-877-227-0127, and talk with someone to find out the details of your situation, of your application. If the program if you apply to WPA, Working Parents Assistant in Montgomery County, it's a similar program. You want to find out what was not accepted as rationale for denial for the subsidy. For that, you can call 240-777-1177. Again, the details as to why I would not be able to answer, but I do think that as a parent, you have the right to inquire and get the reason as to why the application was denied, and to see if it can be remedied.
Very good. Those phone numbers and websites we provided through the chat in the Facebook Live for the benefits of all of those who are joining us tonight in this conversation. Now, Jennifer, I wanted to, for those who still have questions, can people who do not speak English, not just Spanish, people who do not speak English, can they access this kind of information for their benefit?
They can. Both the state and the county have multilingual lines, so we could get interpreters on the line to be able to help with that communication.
And again, can you just go real fast about the documents that are required that parents must be sure to have in order to qualify or to apply, I should say, to this financial assistance benefits available for childcare services?
So there are 5 specific ones that you will need. You will need proof of identity, and that could be either a driver's license, a birth certificate, a government issued ID. You'll need proof of your activity, right? Either whether that's work, school, or job training. You'll also need proof of any other income that you might be bringing in. You'll need proof of child support, cooperation, or payment. and a proof of address. So those are the 5 things that you'll need to be prepared to be able to submit. This information can be found on both of the websites, moneyforchildcare.com and montgomerycountymd.gov/WPA, listing everything that you need to have prepared to when you submit your application.
Now, Jennifer, for those parents who are wanting to apply, how long should it take for them to hear on the progress of their application, or how long does it normally take to get approved or hear news from the program?
So I would say from beginning to end, there's a mandate that it should be completed, fast, right? And so I would say that it typically takes a few weeks to get it from beginning to end, all resolved with an actual voucher in your email. During the pandemic, and because it's been electronic, it has moved faster. So typically around 3 weeks or so, you'll have everything beginning to end solidified.
Can any parent in Montgomery County appeal for that decision? Is there that opportunity, or no? Is that or the decision is final?
The decision is final. However, a parent can inquire to find out what the reason is and to help understand why they were denied. Typically, the reasons are income eligibility is too high, or the parent is not involved in an activity which would show they don't need childcare.
Can a family apply for these resources if there is more than one child who requires childcare services, Jennifer?
Absolutely. You can apply for as many children as you have that need childcare. Parents need to work. They need to get out into the work community. Someone needs to take care of the children in a safe environment. So yes, you can definitely apply for as many children as you have.
We have another question from our public, Jennifer. David Greenberg. If eligible for both Maryland and Montgomery County programs, which is the best place to start in terms of submitting an application?
Start with the state. I would start with the state and get your voucher approved through them. And then at the same time, you could apply at the county, and the county then would be a supplement to whatever the state approves. But always start with the state.
We are soon finishing this virtual conversation, but before we move forward, I want to encourage all of you parents and families who are joining us in this conversation tonight. Please ask your questions. You have Jennifer Arnaiz, she's the manager for early childhood services in Montgomery County. She's available for you to help you and guide you through the process. So please don't leave without asking your questions. But I wanted, before we move forward, I wanted to put up that graphic with the information with locate, because you may want to share this information with family, friends, your neighbors, some colleagues at work. Let them know that there is information available to find the best regulated and quality childcare services in the county. You may have it in you have it right now. Write down that number. It might save you a lot of headaches, and it's gonna lead you to the best place where to find child child care services available for you and your family. Now, the other thing that I wanted to make sure that you have, in case that you have questions tonight that were not answered, or you want to um, Oh, wait a minute. We have people asking here for that website once again. Jennifer, would you like to share the websites that you listed for financial assistance once more?
Sure. So for the state child care scholarship, you're going to go to www.moneyforchildcare.com. I'll repeat that, www.moneyforchildcare.com. For the Montgomery County Working Parents Assistance Program, you're going to go to our website from the county government, which is www.montgomerycountymd.gov/WPA for Working Parents Assistance. Again, www.montgomerycountymd.gov/WPA. If you go to actually, if you can also Google either one, Montgomery County WPA, it'll take you to us. We're the first one at the top of Google. And for the state, you can also just Google Maryland State Child Care Scholarship.
Let's bring up one more time the locate graphic for those parents who wants to write down that information once more. Locate childcare, www.marylandfamilynetwork.org, 1-877-261-0060. Make sure that you have it down, make a screenshot, so that you can make the best use of these resources that are available for you. But also, we want to provide you with early childhood services in Montgomery County information in case that you didn't have a chance to ask your questions, or you have other friends and family members who actually have information that they would like to get. Let's put it up so everybody have a chance to write it down. The number that you can call, 254-777-4769, and there you also have a email, an email available for you to write your questions. Jennifer, would you like to add anything else to this?
No, I think, I want to thank everyone for joining us tonight. Choosing childcare, especially what's important to your child, is a very personal decision. And so making the effort, finding out about the programs, what they offer, and so that you can find, again, not only the best match for you as a family, but also for your child in terms of what meets their needs, whether that's a large program, a smaller environment, whether it's a program that has teaches Spanish. They offer meals. Again, you want to find the right fit for you and your child. So take the time, ask the questions, and when in doubt, call Locate and speak with the counselors, or call our early childhood services number as well to speak with one of our staff members to help get you going with this process. It can be overwhelming, but we'll get you through it.
Before we leave, Jennifer, we have another question from Amanda Hurtado. She says, I applied for childcare scholarship and I received a response saying the documents were not submitted within 30 days, but everything was submitted that first time. I called and they told me they were going to transfer my case to a supervisor because everything was submitted on time, but I have not received a response since August when I applied.
Mm, that's, yeah, if that's the state scholarship, I would encourage you to call the number that I had given earlier, which is 1-877-227-0127, to find out more information about your specific case.
Before we leave, one more time, let's leave the phone number here for early childhood services for everybody to have handy. That email, early childhood services at montgomerycountymd.gov. Ask your questions, call us, and we will be answering your questions and helping you out, guiding you through all the system and the resources that are available for you, and childcare services that are available for you and your family. With that, remember, your children deserve the best opportunities to learn and discover the world. The Early Childhood Services program from Montgomery County's Department of Health and Human Services is available for you and your family. Contact us. And with this, we end this virtual chat. Thank you for joining us. May all you have a good night.
Thank you.